So I had my note cards. Oh, I don't see them. Oh, well, how am I going to do this talk? Oh my God, oh my God.
From the heart.
I can't find them. All right, well, all right. Well, all right, maybe if I talk slowly, they won't notice that I don't know what I'll say in the next 20 minutes. So today's talk, based on Paul Selig's book, this is not how am I going to find this? Oh. His channeled work, The Book of Love and Creation. Please, God. This is like a mix. And the title is going to be To Angst or Not To Angst. Oh, Jesus. Oh, thank God. Worry there. So in that demo, was I angsting or not angsting? A little bit angst, a little bit. And when I first started, did you feel expansion or constriction? Constriction. And did your breathing become full or a little shallow? A little shallow. How many of you wanted to help? How many of you may have thought like, okay, I'm going to giggle, is this for real? Is this not for real? I'm not sure what to do. There was some uncomfortability perhaps, right? Just a little? Stephanie.
What I saw was possibility, like, what's she going to do?
What's she going to do? Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah.
She's just going to wing it.
Could happen.
I thought it was going to be a talk from the heart.
Yes, from the heart. Thank you, Bonita. Yeah. So that is just to demonstrate when I talk about frequency. Sometimes when I talk about frequency, we get in the head and we don't understand what does that mean. And I've talked previously about radio signals, right? And that when you tune into a specific frequency, that's what you get. You get rock, if that's a rock station. But to bring it here to us, we all emit a frequency. When we emit that frequency, where is it? So when I was anxious, what do you think that frequency is? It's a lower frequency. Is it light or is it heavy? It's heavy. So if it's heavy, you know that it's a lower frequency. So if I'm in a lower frequency, I'm in anxiety, perhaps fear, sense of separation, a sense that I've done something wrong or I'm not getting it right. Those are all those types of low frequencies. When I'm in my joy, the possibilities, love, compassion, empathy, that's a high frequency. It's light. It's playful. It's in that wonder of what could happen now. Right? So that's a high frequency. Now some of us will think, well, I'm looking at behaviors, like I'm following somebody's body language and the tone that they're using. But I challenge that and say that that's all based on frequency. I know there have been a couple of times that I have done the appropriate smile that's required in our society, and the handshake or whatever, and that person looks at me and goes, what's the matter with you? How do they know that? I've done all the appropriate body language, tone, whatever, but I'm emitting a frequency because something has shifted within me. So we are frequencies emitting. You're walking down the street. Maybe you don't have any biases. It's possible. No biases. Race or gender, no biases there. But you know the person that's walking towards you, you need to avoid at all costs. You know. Frequency emitting again. So this is something that I want you to be aware of. Now in that demo, what would it have looked like if I was in my knowing and I couldn't find my notes? What would it have looked like? No one would have known the difference. Thank you. Yeah. No one would have known the difference. If I truly trust that I am a divine being, that I am God expressing, then it may not be the talk that I intended or visualized, but I know it will be a good enough talk. I know that God is working as and through me, so all is well. And that's the difference. And that's why we're talking about to angst or not to angst, right? That's the question. How do we do that? I get this sense that the planet is awakening right now. And as we awaken, we start to see things a little differently. It's almost like that scene from The Wizard of Oz when Toto pulls the curtain and exposes the wizard, right? That's happening over and over again in our society, and that's a good thing. We're seeing things clearly. We're seeing behind the propaganda or the myths or whatever else. We're seeing clearly. And in that clarity, we also get to see our divine brothers and sisters. We get to see the divinity within ourselves. I saw a Facebook post today, and it was this gentleman who has this really large white dog. It's like a Malamute. Maybe saying that wrong, but. And he said his next door neighbor came over with a scissors in his hand, complaining about the dog. And he said, you know, she really is a sweetie. You know, once you get to know her, I know her size can be really intimidating. But we will do the best to make sure that she doesn't bark too much and things of that nature. Completely diffuse the situation. Because they saw the divine in that person. They saw what is triggered right now is fear. And they were able to see past that into a really cool experience. Could have gone another different way, couldn't it? So, when we talk about shifting our consciousness, we're talking about shifting our frequency. We are moving from that low-level frequency to a higher level of frequency. Shifting into love. Shifting into allness, shifting into possibilities. And when we do that, we move from that duality that we now currently reside in. And there's this wonderful quote that the Ascended Beings have mentioned. Okay. All right. Thank you. And this is from page 349. All right, so okay. As you move into consciousness and outside of the duality of good and bad, black and white, you can begin to learn that anything that would be held outside of the Christ, outside of the love of God, cannot be God. So everything must be included. What you would hold outside of the Christ in frequency is what must be reclaimed in love. So judgment of others, judgment of self, all must be unified, healed, and brought into the light. Brought into the light. And I guess I went one far until you saw anxiety girl. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. It went back? All right, thank you. So if we don't do this work, we become anxiety girl. And she's able to jump to the worst conclusion in a single bound. Anxiety girl. So we want to do this work because we know that when we show up in the truth of who we are, we get to be the Christ consciousness. And in the Christ consciousness, all are included. No one is excluded. Now, I am purposely using the word Christ consciousness. How many of you are uncomfortable with that term? Hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know somebody who doesn't have their hand up, so I'm saying 10, 11. All right, so why am I using that? I'm using that term to desensitize you from what it meant to you in the past. We grew up, possibly, if you're in a Christian faith, understanding that Jesus was the Savior, the Christ. And everyone who wanted to live eternally needed to go through the Christ. So that's a literal interpretation. The Christ basically is divine consciousness. That's it. Christ is defined as divine consciousness. It's a title, like the Buddha. So that which afflicts us, we need to kind of carve it up, bring it out into the light, take a look at it. You know that's my truth. We can't stay in the dark. No, you can't say Jesus in this church. I was told that when I first got here. What do you mean I can't say Jesus in this church? I can, that's right, I can. Why? Because of what it meant to us in the past. We now have the opportunity as light beings to shift our concepts and our beliefs. We can do that by using other words, which Unity is so good at. They'll transition on, they're moving on. They died, basically, you know? So we have all these euphemisms that we use instead of what it is. So I'm calling you up to say, no, let's use what it is and redefine it, reclaim it back from whether it was abuse or not. Claim it back and then empower ourselves. Because the more that we shy away from or say, that's bad, I don't like that, what are we doing? Giving it power. We've given it power. We are in separation. And this work is about healing and including. We talk about transcend, include and transcend, right? Include and transcend. Often in Unity, we don't include, we just try to transcend. When we get stuck, we get stuck because we need to include. We need to heal, we need to shift, we need to challenge our belief systems. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Fran, would you go to the next one? Thanks. It gets tricky because the transitioning from one state of consciousness to another requires that you transition yourself in your experience. And sometimes the changes are not graceful. Sometimes the changes are not graceful. Sometimes the changes are not graceful. Or they require you to forgo things that you normally would have gone to as a way to anchor the self in the experience. What we mean by this is that when you have a transition from one consciousness to the next, you have to remember that what you have used to support you or to self-identify may not be there in the new frequency. And the uncomfortability that ensues is really simply about the unsteadiness of the new transition. Anxiety, right? We're doing things a little different, and it comes across that we're unsure, maybe uncomfortable, maybe even a little bit anxious, because we're at a place that we've never been before. Or maybe the place is familiar, but we're working at such a deep level that it leaves us floundering and unsure. It's normal. It is all normal. Because we can't apply the paradigms, meaning the how-tos that we operate in this realm, to shift in consciousness. We can't do that. It doesn't work, my friends. You can't use the same rules of the road that you use to navigate systems for your spiritual work. Somehow we have equated spirituality to perfection. Spiritual consciousness to this purity. I challenge that. That's a myth. That is a myth. It is about you allowing yourself to be imperfect. Allowing yourself to flounder. Allowing yourself to feel that uncomfortability. Because if you don't start with yourself in allowing the imperfection, how will you allow your brother or sister to do that? How will you allow your spouse to do that? How will you allow your significant partner to do that? Now you may be thinking, well, you know, I am the worst critic of myself. But to other people, I'm not that way. At least that's what I used to say. Until I realized the perfectionism that I had and held to myself were in my expectation of how other people should live their lives and how other people should interact with me. Allow yourself to be imperfect. Imperfect spirituality. Wow, I think I just coined something there. That'll be trending next. So it's ours to do this work. And we have the choice. Do we decide to be in that low frequency? To be in that anxiety? Because what did you just learn from my demo earlier? The anxiety that I was feeling. Each and every one of you picked something up from it, didn't you? And it had nothing to do with you. It was all my own anxiety, but you picked it up. So if you want a world that is accepting, loving, peaceful, and sees the divine in all, what do you gotta do? Be that. Be that high frequency of love. Be that high frequency of allowing, of seeing the divine. Because guess what will happen? As you pulsate, right? As you emit that frequency, other people are going to pick it up, aren't they? The same way. That's how we start to change the world. Brian, would you go to the next, please? So what's required? Now, the requirements for your growth really mean that you stay aware. You stay in your knowing, and you stay in congruence with your own divine self. The reason you have come into knowing is not to make you better. We do this grading from school that we've learned. We've got to get somewhere. How do I get to enlightenment? How do I get better, right? It's not to teach you new things. It's to be knowing, to inhabit as knowing. And the process of becoming this in form, once again, is not always graceful. Thank you. Would you move to the next, please? Thank you. So this is about really being patient and kind with yourself. Knowing that yours is to speak the truth. Yours is to be the spiritual leader. You're here now, at this time, incarnating right here, right now, to be at this awakening. As the planet awakens, all beings. We can call God by any other name, but we know there's only one presence and one power. We say that every Sunday as one of our intentions, that we know there is only one presence and one power. And yet, someone says Allah, and we go, ah! It doesn't matter what name we use to call God. God is. God is. So this is about being in the knowing of who and what you are. Being in that wonder. Knowing yourself as your truth. A divine human being. So I'm going to go to the next quote. And I like this one, and I picked it out because the first sentence there is just, it just gets me. The Christ, of course, has no denomination. What a concept. No denomination. The Christ in truth is the indwelling God within each man and woman that is awakened in divine knowing through this action, I am Word. There are other ways, of course, to awaken the Christ. It is being awakened in languages across the globe, but the ascension we speak of in this light is a transition of consciousness. The new world that will be coming is a recreation of the recreation of the existing world in higher frequency. Changing the world, where does it start, my friends? Right here. With each and every one of us. That's how we change the world. And when we spend time worrying, we have wasted our energy in worrying. We have wasted our life in worrying. We have wasted the what ifs. Well, if I had chosen this path, my life might have been better. Well, it might have been worse too. You know, but we spend all of this energy out of this now moment, out of the beauty, out of the connection, out of the love with each other, worrying. So the question is to angst or not to angst? That is the question, right?
Accept if we are angsty.
And accept if we are angsting. Very nice, yeah. Because when we do our spiritual journey, it is not linear. It is not linear. So we may take 3 steps forward on our journey, then take 1 back, and then 1 to the side, and 1 to the other side. And then the next time we may take 3 steps backwards, then 1 forward and 1 to the side. Whatever that process is, it's about allowing. It's about allowing and not judging yourself. And so my last quote from the Book of Love and Creation. You always have a high choice and a low choice. The high choice lifts your frequency. The low choice diminishes it. We encourage you to take the high choice. When you are in fear and you are working on it to lift you out of it, you are in the high choice. When you are freaking out, as they say, you are probably feeding the energy of fear and creating from that place. And when you create in fear, you have to dismantle those creations. So we are giving you a little time saver by saying, choose the higher frequency. Choose the higher frequency. If I can give you one piece of advice, we angst so much on our decisions and choices from fear of getting it wrong. It's okay to get it wrong. That's part of being human. That's why we're here, to learn from those, or to find new ways, new joys, new possibilities. And know that whatever choice you are making from your divine self is the perfect choice in that moment. Allow. Just allow. Just allow. So, on our spiritual journey, I'm going to end with inviting you to not use first class on the spiritual journey. I'm inviting you to use the fun class.
Now remember, it's very important you must stay on the belt. Otherwise, you risk becoming a suitcase's worst nightmare. The lost bag. Still.